hola. Ahí arranca en el Pro Tour. Vamos a ponerlo. A ver, musiquita. Arrancamos con los drafts,
Yeah, he's going to need some early plays because I think the 4 or 5 color decks in this format are very powerful. And I love
Se está armando
the key point is survival.
azul verde.
That is the inflection point of the format. Once you get to the later turns, you can really play anything, any number of colors as long as you have the fixing, which is why we're seeing
Jean Emmanuel de Plas.
your end game can really be whatever the most powerful cards you get are. But you have to survive to that point. So there's a lot of emphasis on 2 drops, cheap interaction, removal. If he can pick those up, I think he is shaping up to have that ability to play whatever the next 2 packs give him.
Yeah, and you know, the way he's laying out these cards, it looks like those white cards are not being heavily considered at the moment. So perhaps he's just kind of in a Sultai deck, which works really well. The fixing's nice, the cards tend to work well together. The Crawl Whip Cracker is definitely a reason to want to be in black, so that could work out well for him.
Yeah, the Whip Cracker is a little awkward because ideally you want to play it on turn 2 and as your splash color, that may not be ideal, but a 3-2 with a sometimes relevant ability is still fine on rate if you play it later on.
¿Por qué se escucha dos veces?
As a double spell alongside something else.
Okay. All right, well here's pack 2, pick 1 coming up. And let's see if he
Ahí está,
solidifies
¿no?
himself into like a color trio or
Ah, es de la misma transmisión.
trims it down to like just being Simic and doesn't go for the splashes. So this will be a pack that will define what direction he wants to go moving forward. And let's see.
¿Qué haces, Benny? ¿Todo bien? Estamos aprovechando que es el aniversario de mi ciudad y tengo el día libre para ver el Pro Tour. Bueno, ahora arrancamos con el draft, así que
That would be pretty nice.
Let's see what he picks up.
An Ezra maybe?
Yeah, that would. Oh, yeah, that would be fantastic.
Alright, we see a 2-drop.
Oh, he picked up one of the best bombs.
Uy,
in the
mirá
set
lo que es
here.
ese dragón.
Incinerator of the Guilty.
Marshall, it's a red card.
Oh, but double red.
Look,
Can he justify this?
cualquier cosa, exclamación Discord y estoy ahí,
this card is absolutely
You
ridiculous.
just have to, right?
You're not passing much. Take a look at this pack. You're
Okay.
really not losing out on. What are you going to take?
Es una bomba el dragón ese,
Spectre? No,
Yeah,
that's
no.
not happening.
No, Living Conundrum's not a thing.
I think you make it work.
No, you're right. He's not taking much, and plus this is one of the absolute top cards in the set, probably top 5 cards in the set, full stop. That's the type of card that when it hits the battlefield, if you get to untap with it, it is over. Game over. Done.
Vuela Roya 6-6 y siempre que haga daño hace... ¿Qué dice? Podés sí, collect X y hacer esa misma cantidad de daño a la
The question
a any
is,
target.
cast it. It's double red.
Ese encantamiento está muy bueno.
Technically, we're kind of leaning towards
Y ahora se va a ir a explayar a rojo. Ese encantamiento está muy bueno el azul.
Wow, some good blue stuff here though. Cold Case Cracker, Lost in the Maze, and favorite, the exit specialist here too.
Yeah, Mana War straight to your liking, and I think
Sí, ahora los boosters son son más fuertes porque salen 2 doradas o mítica dorada mínimo en cada booster, entonces tenés más por donde elegir.
Specialist is the least mana intensive of those cards as well. I mean, it has the option on, you know, no mana of any color, and then, you know, just one blue at some point can get it going as well. So he's going to take Exit Specialist. That'll move us to pick 3. There's a Crime Stopper Sprite. There's a Public Thoroughfare. You know, are we already in the mode of I need to start picking these up? So
La tierrita no es mala. Es como el viejo portal
here should be first things that can are bombs. Second, things that can make me survive. Third, fixing.
He took it.
Yeah.
Public Thoroughfare here for Sean Emmanuel de
Color,
Plas.
bien.
And we are directly into the deep end. I like this. This is sweet.
I love what he is doing here. This is exactly the type of deck that
Es el pack 2,
And just having the fixing will really enable you to feel indestructible after turn 4 or 5. So if he can get those cheap plays, this is going to be a really cool game.
Esos que tienen Morph ahora mejorados son muy buenos.
We call it eating your vegetables, right? You got to take the Thoroughfare. And look, they went this way. That would fit right in too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like he's gonna take it. Oh yeah, so he is doing all of the things.
Y piqueó The One This Way. Ser libre, buscas una tierra básica y la pones en juego. Y pones un club. Me parece que va a ir con Temur, ¿eh?
Interestingly, white has really dried up, which I'm not surprised about. You know, it is considered the best color by a fair bit in the format. And
Sí, tiene la tierra igual, ¿eh?
Looks like he's got an interesting choice here. Wow, 3 good cards.
Tiene la tierra que le da otra vez que no hay encima. Uy, mira, está pensando con el elemental. Otro más. Me pone nervioso el tamaño de las uñas del flaco este. Sí. Va a ir con el truquito. No puede ser contrarrestado. Tapeas 2 criaturas y les pone Stone Counter. La gira y no las deja enderezar por 4.
That's another one that is an instant collect evidence in ruler.
Yeah, it's fixing and it enables collect evidence, much like Topiary Panther.
Yep.
You know, the castable side of it, less good than Topiary Panther in my opinion.
Treasure's Terrain.
It accomplishes the same goal. You get to fix and then you get to collect evidence from it.
Whenever I see Treacherous Terrain, I'm like game plan acquired, friends.
Sí, la estaba viendo porque lo tengo acá en tamaño gigante y me pone nervioso. Iba a ir con el caso, ¿no? Para rampear o la criatura.
It's kind of not a case of the Trampled Garden deck either, but maybe.
Yeah, I think one is maybe you're playing it, the other you're definitely not.
Right. Case of Trampled Garden's a good card, but he's just much more defensively stanced at this. Wow, there's a Lightning Helix still in this pack?
That's a real Lightning.
Acá tenés el Lightning Helix, pero no va a ir con el Lightning Helix, va a ir con la criaturita, ¿no? 4-4, sí.
The best color pair in the format. Yeah, it feels like white has been heavily contested, and we haven't seen any shocks or galvanizes, but it seems like nobody's in both colors.
Yeah.
Because Helix is premium. It plays really well in this format, on top of it being good in every format.
Absolutely. Unauthorized exit, a pretty nice late pickup, I think, for JD.
Definitely.
Outside of the disguise creatures.
It's your favorite, Monty. It's the pompous Gadabout.
The Gadabout.
I don't think it'll make the cut, but maybe.
Maybe. We'll see how desperate we get.
Picks up a breakout on the
Mirá.
not so great.
Not ideal.
Va a ir por RG, ¿eh?
But you know, this was a well-rounded
Al final.
right? He picked up a super powerful bomb. He picked up much-needed fixing, and he rounded it out with these later picks with cards like Hotshot Investigators and Unauthorized Exit.
Yeah, he got speed bumps, he got fixing, and he got a bump. I think this was the ideal pack 2. His direction is a lot more cemented. I think at this point it is very fair to say that he's not really considering the white anymore. It's a base Simic.
El rojo puede ser un splash, ¿eh?
And then you have that red splash available to you.
Sí, red splash.
I think it's just the Crawl Whip Cracker right now.
Right now, I don't think he's playing black.
Okay.
I think he's looking at a Simic deck that has the Incinerator.
Okay.
He does like some of the black cards that he could have access to, so with the fixing, maybe, but that is a pack 3 decision.
Y acá se define, ¿eh? En el pack 3, si se queda con Simic, va a Temur o cambia de RG. Es que piqueó varias cartitas RGs, el dragón y después 2 cartitas RG. El Breakout y el Treacherous Terrain.
Oh man, this has been awesome. I really want to see how well this deck does at a table like this too.
Yeah, I think one thing that does need to be noted is just the difference of pod play, something that we haven't really seen, right? This is the premier event for Murders at Karlov Manor. So how will
Esos
that
fueron los
deck
picks del pack
will be
2.
white decks?
Definitely, and you know, I would assume
Ahí está.
and a lot of people fighting. So, you know, this is a very logical position to find yourself in, which is just basically avoiding those colors and being able to pick up whatever you want. And he likes the strategy. Like,
Mirá las uñas, hermano.
so he's probably
Me pone nervioso.
you know, it's weird because this is not the type of deck that you would look at and say this is awesome. But,
I mean, I would.
I mean, I think it's awesome and like it's really cool. But you know, if you came up to me and said, "Here's my really solid Boros deck," or would you rather have this one? I'd be like, "Oh, I'll stick with the Boros
Yeah,
deck."
give me the Boros. I'm safe.
All right, let's see what he picks up here. Pack 3, pick number 1. He's got a bite down on crime. So
El Pompous Gadabook. Le gusta ese mucho.
Was there anything else?
There's
Head
a
Whisper.
Watson Jetson.
Yeah, Flotsam Jetson's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It has a lot of the same stuff that Cease and Desist has, except for the Jetson's actually playable.
Yeah, it does help having. Okay.
Y la rara,
if he
la
was
tierra.
considering playing black, that is a nice pick. We did talk about how much we like Hedge Maze and that cycle. Those lands do add a lot to these decks, but maybe.
Y va con este. Ahí dice, you collect evidence 6. Dice spell, cuesta 2 menos.
This card cheaper.
Traje criatura you control, gets más 2 más 0. Y hace daño igual al poder de la criatura.
It doesn't feel like he's fighting too hard for anybody, so we'll see what he gets back out of it.
Es un removal.
Ooh, there's a Delny, but that is not really the name of the game for JD for this draft. What else does he have? Undercover.
Otro bicho Civic. Bomba. Ah, uy, tiene el Basic
There's
Land.
some decent stuff here.
Yeah, this is not a Delny deck, not a Market Watch fan.
Tiene el Basic Land o el cocodrilo con Morph.
Really, because again, he's not quite black yet. He
Right.
has the Extract Perpetua pulled out. It is a powerful card if you can cast it on curve. And I think
Sí, va a ir con el Basic Land.
the Whip Cracker is casting Extract on curve. You want to be able to play that on turn 3.
So once again, he's going to eat his vegetables here and take a Topiary Panther. It is a plant, by the way.
It is a plant. Literal vegetable.
Porque busca cualquier tierra básica. Está buena.
That's right. That's a good point. That's a good point. What is? Oh, that's a Crawl Whip Cracker.
Deceptively so. Does it?
Yeah, that does not. You look green, black, or gold somehow, but there it is. It's pretty cool though.
It is.
Mira, otro,
like
otro.
the look of it.
Otro Basic
Has
Land.
another Whip Cracker, has a Mortipede pulled up. I do think he has another Mortipede maybe in the
Well,
file
he
somewhere.
really likes the Whip Cracker.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
he wants a cool alternate R1 for his collection.
A ver si se ve mi carita, boludo.
Look, when you're as good as JD, you can just be like, oh, take it for the pretty good. What do
You
you
can
want?
waste a second pick, it's fine. But I think the card is
Ahí
really
está.
good, and I think it
No
is
se estaba
a card
viendo.
that It does get better later on in the game when you can take advantage of the destroy target.
Okay, yeah, for sure. That's a frantic scapegoat alternate art, by the way.
El pulpito es bueno.
Radar this time. Bubble Smuggler, and there's the card that we talked about before.
El pulpito es zafa.
Yeah, Fanatical Strength also not really interesting.
Para curva baja está muy buena.
It's a 2-drop, it's a 3-drop, and it's pretty
Todo el mundo está drafteando blanco, parece. No aparece una carta blanca ni en joda.
and it's cute. It never hurts.
Igual por lo que estuve jugando y aprendiendo, de los mejores
Not the land you're looking for.
son RG. Perdón, es el Rakdos, el Boros también, es muy bueno. El Simic, pero si me decís, si me preguntás cuál sería el mejor o el más fuerte hasta que me parece a mí, el Rakdos.
Or having that. I mean, that is the peak common for bigger than everything else disguise creature.
And he does need creatures. We saw the deck was a little short after turn 2.
That's a clean unauthorized exit, though.
Ese es el booster que él abrió,
Big role in that whole speed bump, slow down your opponent.
Es el booster que él abrió.
Over game plan, and he's picking another one up there. He is looking at Branch if you do Gazi, but I don't see how you can pass an unauthorized exit. Yeah, he's
Yeah, I think he's feeling a little bit of the pressure of being low on creatures. He has 2 white down on primes that need creatures to really do stuff. You saw him eyeing the Mortipede as well as the Brach. He understands that he's a little short, he needs to pick some stuff up, but the unauthorized exit too good to pass up there.
Here's an escape tunnel.
¿Va por el túnel? Mira.
Again, you know, really interesting. He's positioned himself with the
Está bien.
exception of those
El túnel te da evasión o te busca
red or
carta
no shocks, no galvanize,
de tierra.
none of the good commons
Yep.
from white or red.
The only red card that he's really playing, other than
Yeah.
the fixing, is a mythic that he opened.
That he opened,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nobody's
So-
passing that.
So that, you know, the idea that this color pair, trio, quadruple, you know, means that, you know, it's kind of cool. He's well positioned against what the rest of the table thinks, and he's even picked up his favorite.
Honestly,
Destruye todos los artefactos and encantamientos por 6.
makes a lot more sense to me as well. I still think he could have wheeled it. I thought it was a little aggressive of the pick. Speaking of wheels.
¿Qué va? ¿Por la tierra?
Theater wheel here.
Interesting, yeah, that's his splashes.
Fue por la tierra.
Both splashes.
I think now he's definitely much happier.
Creo que es Pioneer, ¿eh?
Yeah.
The pair of them, I think they're definitely making the deck now. Yeah, I think the season assist makes a lot of sense.
Creo que es Pioneer.
You drop, you gain a little life, you draw a card, and suddenly you have 8 evidence in your graveyard.
Yes. There's a defender at large. Finally, a decent common coming around.
It's a creature.
Yeah.
It works.
And thanks to the disguise mechanic, he even can play it.
Exactly. It's
There's his more to
Acá no le llega nada.
he's been eyeing those for a while. I think it wouldn't be surprising to see him pick it up here.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell. You had to read their mind. He was worried about creature count for
Yeah.
sure.
He was thinking about it. It was on his mind, and I think he's at it.
Mirá.
Around 11.
Cartas viejas, cierto que te pueden venir cartas viejas.
I think that's a decent spot.
Esa es una bomba. 5-5. Amenaza.
That's about right where you need to be. You'd prefer to have 14 or so, but you have to make
El ruble.
for your, you know, case of the shattered packs, and they went this ways. Like those take up card slots.
They do.
And of course, you still need to have your removal in there too. He's taking a quick look at it. It just looks like a random pile of cards until he lays it out. It's pretty funny how it played out this way.
Yeah, I think his deck is good. I do. I think
I like it.
it had the potential to be a train wreck after how we saw it start, but I think he's found most of the pieces that you're looking for in this archetype in a deck like this, and he really showed the understanding of the game plan. Fix, survive, big creatures.
And then use up all your mana on big stuff.
Exactly.
Do you think that it will play well against an aggressive deck, assuming that there are some that use pop?
I
I mean,
think
if my opponent goes like
Ahí está diciendo que le gusta el arquetipo, que es aguantar y tirar las bombas.
lacking a bit of the interactive tools that he would have liked, but he has the bounce spells, he has unauthorized exits, he has the life gain, and he has some ramp, so I think he can make it out semi-unscathed.
okay.
If you're making it to turn 5 and 6 at like 8 life in this deck, I think you're ecstatic.
He can turn around.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at how the deck actually turned out that he built. Got some questions that we need answers. There it is. The Pampas got about it. Made it.
Made the cut.
Yeah, it had to. I mean, as you mentioned, he was just slow on creatures. So, yeah, he went for all of it.
Yeah.
So, look at that mana base. That kind of tells the whole tale right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, really what you need is enough basics to cast your bomb. So if you have an incinerator, you need 2 mountains. That is all you need. And
Eso es todo lo que piqueó.
look at that
Is there a
thinking
thinking
cap.
cap actually in his deck?
I feel like
No way.
I'm not going to believe that until I see it played.
Yo el negro no lo jugaría.
Are there even any detectives in this deck? There's an exit specialist and a crocodile. Is there anything else that's a detective?
I don't know.
And he has a second unauthorized.
El negro lo jugaría y jugaría el rojo, pero del rojo jugaría.
He's not playing both.
Look at that top end, though. He's got the Panther, the Crocodile, a Basilica Stalker, which will be in the 3, and then he's got the Incinerator of the Guilty.
I love it. I think this deck is pretty cool. I hope it works out.
Está bien, porque es con sí,
And what I really don't
el
want
5-4 lo jugaría.
is John Emmanuel DeProjus Run
Lo que no jugaría sería el negro, pero bueno, no sé.
A short break here from the booth. That was our opening draft, but we get to watch the opening round right after this.
Bueno, vamos a una pausita de 2 minutos. Ahí estamos, ahí estamos. Todavía siguen esperando que arranquen las partiditas. Chicago, Illinois.
In Chicago. And we're just about to sit down for the first round of action here from the PT. And that's, of course, the most exciting part. You know, a lot of anticipation, a lot of testing, a lot of work goes into this. And then the players finally get to sit down and actually put their theories to the test against other players who may have other theories. In this case, though, we're in for a real treat because the way that things broke down in the pod, Jean-Emmanuel Duprat is playing Ben Stark in round one. I mean, these are two of the best limited players we've ever had in our game.
Titans, absolute titans of the game. Jean-Emmanuel Duprat, reigning world champion, inarguably one of the best players, not just limited players, just one of the best players in the game right now, has had a fantastic run of years over the past 6 years now.
Incredible.
And Ben Stark, Pro Tour champion, Hall of Famer, incredibly strong limited player himself. There was a long stretch of time where he was considered the best drafter in the world.
You think he's still got it? Let's take a look at his list. I want to see what he's got.
So.
We've seen Jean-Emmanuel's list. Let's take a look at Ben's list. What did he come up with? Ooh, so interesting. So this is considered, for the most part, the worst color pair. It's on the, let's say, the bottom four.
Ben Stark, que armó. El Ragdos.
This looks pretty decent, actually. Like the power.
Mirá, con Niña Masacre y con Krenko.
Yeah, some really
and
strong.
the removal's really good too. He's got Torch the Witness, Murder, Long Goodbye right in the middle, and a Shock.
And a Slice, so pretty good case of the Burning Mass. Ooh, the removal keeps
Vamos a recortar
the Eliminator, love that one.
Okay, so there you go. So this is interesting stuff here from Ben Stark. He's picked a color pair that isn't favored, but you know, I will say, if you look at the numbers on how the color pairs break down in the format, they're actually pretty well grouped together.
Ahí está Benny.
There is no one deck where you're making a mistake by drafting it. Even the worst ones are still in range, you know, and if you get a good version of it, you have a
y bueno, acá lo vemos a Emmanuel Duprat
here from Ben Stark on this red-black deck. Now, he is going to be facing down Jean-Emmanuel, so Ben is going to hope for the most aggressive of his draws. Oh, and he has exactly that. Goblin Mask Maker on turn one. This is exactly what Jean-Emmanuel doesn't want to see. You see the escape tunnel now from Jean-Emmanuel, which is exactly what Ben does want to see. Does he have a disguise creature?
The 1-2 punch would be...
He does! This could be over very, very quickly if Jean-Emmanuel cannot get something in the way, because the 1-3 curve is really, really tough to beat.
Claro, el Goblin ese le hace bajarle.
The one saving grace for JD is Ben's deck isn't actually the most aggressive, despite what we're seeing from this curve. We talked about a lot of bombs. We talked about all of the removal. So if JD's trying to stabilize with creatures, that might be a problem if Ben goes, remove your creature.
Y fue con el 4 colores, ¿eh?
But if Ben's hand is a little bomb heavy, going bigger up, JD could stabilize.
Okay, he's got the turn 2 Crawl Whipcracker, which at least threatens to trade off for something here.
Beauty of Escape Tunnel in this kind of deck is just enabling you to have the mana for these splashes. Whipcracker as a splash 2-drop, not ideal, and I wouldn't be surprised if JD just says, I'll take the trade.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any damage.
I mean,
my life total is important.
Right, that's the name of the game here, is just to maintain life total, and you will trade a card for a card all day. Ooh, no land drop here from Ben Stark.
All right, this is the start. This is exactly what Jean-Emmanuel Duprat needed to see. Yes, the pressure is continuing, but he survived a turn where one creature didn't attack and a missed land draw. So now if Jean-Emmanuel can enact his game plan, he can start snowballing in his direction. Gadabout on the board.
All right.
First game of the Pro Tour, Marshall.
That took like 1 second. Literally the first time that it could hit, it did.
it doesn't get better. Unfortunately, this is the highlight of the weekend, is Pompous Gadabout hitting the board on turn 3 of the Pro Tour.
Did we peak early?
I think we're
all down here.
We're flying a little too close to the sun with this one.
Oh man, that's incredible.
Gadabout down though. The
Sigue agarrando land drop,
unfortunately.
Okay. Well, we couldn't live the dream for long, I guess.
But Still no third land from Ben Stark. And JD, there's the Mortipede. That is a large roadblock here.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a speed bump there for Stark.
Yeah, and 4 toughness isn't easy to remove.
Ya el buen arranque que tuvo Ben Stark no robó tierra,
Otherwise,
boludo.
you're 2 for 1 yourself if you're attacking, and that's another pass from Ben Stark. No land drop, no attack, and honestly, advantage bar fully in JD's.
Perdió la ventaja esa agresiva que había tenido.
Yeah, the missed land drops here are going to start adding up very, very quickly, because one thing that you get when you have the mana base like what Jean Emmanuel has, he can cast everything except for his red spells right now, and he's really only got one of those.
Yeah, just looking at the options available to him, this is the position that you want to be in now. I think if he has that first big repulsive mutation, it's going to be really hard for Ben to come back, for example, if he had something like that.
Y este ya tiene los 4 colores.
They went this way, the play, finding one of those mountains, so now red is online, getting a clue, and still has a 3-4 to hold everything down.
And he's even going to use the clue on the cheeky little tap ability there for the public thoroughfare.
I will say that is a huge quality
Ahí consiguió la tierra.
to the traditional Rupture Spire sort of land that we've seen. Being able to tap clues that don't have a tap ability, so you can still sacrifice them, really helps a lot in making this land not as backbreaking in negative tempo.
Definitely. Okay, so Ben starting to get things going now. I mean, he is facing down a 6 lands to 3 deficit, but...
Yeah, the third land, the Deadly Complication, was able to clear off the way, so 3 damage came through. But JD, he's on 6 mana to 3, so
yeah.
Each turn he's deploying more things. Now these disguised creatures are able to flip up pretty easily should they survive through the turn. So things are definitely still very rough for Ben.
Yeah, Ben's got Jean Emmanuel down to 13. He just used Deadly Complication to take out the Mortipede, so that got a big blocker out of the way, but a double spell turn from Jean Emmanuel to follow up, Disguise Creature, go, is really tough.
Especially against the mana-screwed opponent.
Yeah.
If you
Mana
don't
screwed,
have the
yeah.
lands to pay for that ward, if you're trying to clear off the way to get through, then you're really going to be hindered. And for Ben, all he can do is attack for 2.
Yeah, he's going to attack for 2. He does have 3 mana now. What's his follow-up play?
Probably a Disguise.
No, he's got Slice from the Shadows to take down... Oh, then the right one, too,
Okay.
an Exit Specialist.
Did he pick correctly? I feel like he did, depending on what the other one is, of course.
Otro removal más.
Yeah, it's interesting because if it's like an Undercover Crocodile for something along those lines, Ben actually would have rather
¿Y
had
qué tiene, el
that
cocodrilo?
Specialist will do some work here.
I did see one of the copies of Cease and Desist in Jean-Emmanuel Duprat's hand, so
Okay.
he can gain some of that life back, draw a card. I believe he does have the Theater as well, so could start the turn off with a Surveil here, see what's happening on top, and decide where to go from there. Does have that
Es que
Clue
ya-
token, so can dig into more action.
De Pras le juega una bomba y cómo se la saca de
Keep it
encima.
on top, though.
Graveyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you do not want to see a top keep from the 4-color greedy deck that,
That has a clue.
you've seen your opponent's deck list. You do not want to be dealing with this.
That's right. Things not looking good for Ben Stark. He
Ooh.
has chipped away. Oh,
Pega
there's an
por
attack,
dos.
though, and there's a Crawl Whipcracker to follow up. And 2 mana. That's 2 ominous mana, we'll say, from Jean Emmanuel Duprat as well.
Is there anything more terrifying than when your control or greedy opponent starts attacking?
Hey, this actually worked. Look at this. Case of the Burning
Está en
Abyss to
ocho,
take out the Crawl
Ojo,
Whipcracker. And that is going to get Ben in with both creatures.
Okay, so that does solve the case. That's 3 sources of damage dealt.
Okay.
Okay, that can help smooth things out for Ben, help him find that 4th land that he's looking for.
Definitely.
Maybe resolve some of those bombs. We don't know what's in his hand, but maybe has the Massacre Girl that's
Right.
waiting in the wings there. So this could very much still be a game depending on what JD's working with.
Yeah, so the case gets solved on end step, and Ben can sacrifice that whenever, but, he'll want to do it on his turn.
Right. You don't want to do it while you're tapped out.
Right.
All right, Cease Desist was cast, so some life gain and drawing a card here.
How about the other one?
All right. Back up to 12 now, I believe, should be JD. 2 instances of gain 2 there.
Yeah, you're right.
Gana 2 vidas y roba carta.
And as
Por
we
2.
noted, his graveyard is fully stocked and ready to go for any type of evidence collection that he has in mind.
Still
All right.
attacking.
Is this going to be an undercut of Crocodile?
No.
No, it's not.
Big attack.
Yeah, this is interesting because
Pegó por 7.
John Emanuel, you know, he's playing some cards not because they were his first choice, but because they're castable.
Yep.
And, you know, Offender at Large here is exactly that, but totally fine. I mean, that thing just smashed for a bunch of damage.
7 damage came across. Jean Emmanuel is technically up on life right now.
Yeah.
And I think unless Ben drew a 4th land, he has to take a mountain here.
Right. The shock doesn't have a great target right now. It doesn't feel like the plan of going upstairs would really be on the docket. So yes, he is going to take the mountain. He's just going to play it immediately.
Now, notably, if Massacre Girl is one of those cards stranded in hand, the mountain not helping you cast it here. So Ben is still a little stuck, and he has to pass and just leave up a blocker at this point.
John Emanuel said, how many cards you had? He said 5.
5 in a pass.
That is rough. And now he may have an instant, but tough spot here for Ben Stark. This could easily just be one of those games where that mana stumble is too much.
Ben's deck had a Galvanize, right? So I think if he does have that, that would make sense why he stays back. The 1-2 can block the 5-4 here, then the Galvanize finishes it off. And that would help a lot because Ben would then have potentially the only creature on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing about Jean Emmanuel's deck. It is somewhat threat light overall. You know, there's a lot of cards that he could be drawing at this point that are Case of the Shattered packs or things like that. And it looks like we're going to see a bite down on Crime.
Those cease and desist just coming in huge in terms of stalking that graveyard. We saw the life gain. John Emmanuel would be at 6 if he hadn't cast 2 of those, and now this is going to be another attack for 7 with Ben only at 11 life. That's a large chunk of his life total going away here.
Yeah, that was really tough there for Ben as well. If you saw him read the card, I think he was...
Mutation? Mutation?
Oh, he's
that's
got
game.
Mutation too.
If there's no removal spell, that's 11. Mutation for 4. Mutation needs a creature target, so you can't just use it to counter a spell, of course, but doesn't need a spell target to counter.
Lo sacó,
right?
Pega por
This is
11.
just a pump spell.
And Ben's just like, is there anything I can do here? I guess he could slice from the shadows to shrink it or something like that, but...
I think Ben only has 1 slice, and we've seen him cast it,
and
so...
This is desperation time.
Counting the math, making sure, did you have the right amount of mana?
And he says you got it. I bet you Ben had that Galvanize in hand. I think he was reading Bite Down on Crime just to make sure it wasn't a fight.
Yeah.
Because then he actually
Y se armó un 4 colores tranqui, Es un Simic con splash negro y
same read that you did, Monty, and boom. Game number 1 goes to Jean Emmanuel Deprat. Now let's see though if Ben can hit his land drops, because he was actually in that fight and lost the game with 5.
Está jugando Benny,
He made that game competitive despite the mana issues, so definitely I think his deck is very much in it.
Salió muy lento igual,
Not the same curve as the previous game. No 1-2 here, so first play is a 2-drop, and John Emmanuel started with a Surveil, so got to take a look at the top, and this is exactly how
Ese
you want to be
2-1
starting the game.
es muy
Fixing,
bueno.
keep a card on top, more fixing, be able to play anything.
That's right. Now, this is not bad for Ben Stark either, though. He goes Repeat Offender into Disguise Creature face down, go. So currently, he's the only one with anything doing any damage on the battlefield.
Yeah, and the damage will start stacking up. We do know that he has the tools to compound the pressure. He has the removal spells. So for JD, there isn't just the hope of I'm going to play a creature and it's going to be a great blocker. Now, the disguises, they're pretty decent because at least if Ben doesn't have the slice, that is going to do a good job
¿Qué pones contador y empezás a atacar?
warding off that removal.
Yeah, John Emmanuel's hoping for no slice, no shock here. And he's played Krenko.
Yes, so 3-3 ace coming on down.
3-3 prisa.
That is going to make things more annoying, though. Ben notably keeping his disguise back, saying,
right,
I'll trade the Offender. I am not trading this disguise.
That really does speak to how much he's valuing that card. Really interesting. And John Emmanuel, can he get picky? That's the question. Can he afford to not trade for the Repeat Offender? Remember, the Repeat Offender gets more annoying the later in the game. You know, Ben runs out of cards.
Salió Aro Ben Stark.
It actually can be a problem.
I think
Oh, he's gonna take it.
I think JD would
Ah,
trade
se
off
comió
every
5.
disguise in his deck
Se va a
except for the
13, eh?
exit specialist.
That's what I was gonna say too.
If that's the exit specialist, you're
Yeah.
holding it because the tempo play this turn from it is going to be huge. Any other morph creature, I think he is trading it off there. Disguise creature, excuse me.
¿Cuál es? ¿Es el 3-2 que hace daño? No me acuerdo
I'm
si
just
lo vi.
old, you can stop there. Alright, I do see again a cease and desist in his hand.
Tu amigo,
he does have
Ben
the ability
Stark.
to double spell here with the cease and desist as well. Well, double spell with flipping up the exit specialist, but that is the type of play that he's looking for. If you block either of the creatures that you can kill and then bounce the Krenko, that's pretty nice.
All right, we're gonna see out cold here from Jean Emmanuel.
Lo estunea, no se puede enderezar.
Keep tap down the 2 creatures that attacked last turn. Now Ben is going to turn his disguised creature.
Tradea y
sideways,
tradea,
just
es el
to get traded off.
4-2.
Interestingly, Ben
Uy.
must have a follow-up play here.
Yeah, it was a crocodile, so not the
Wow.
exit specialist. And
Regaló el
Jean Emmanuel
cocodrilo.
just opting to try
Me
to trade
sorprende,
that for the disguise for disguise, and it results in
Sí.
not taking any damage for another turn.
¿Y
and
contra quién
out cold with those
jugaste
stun
que
counters,
jugaba
that
Esper
means that
Dragons?
you are pretty well protected for at
¿Te
least
acordás,
one more
Benny?
turn here as well.
Que jugaba Esper Dragons. Que empataste en la
Big turn
última.
here for Jean
Que
Emmanuel.
si ganabas,
If he can
pasabas
move
a.
his game plan forward,
El día 2.
well, he has this window.
No me acuerdo.
You could see the next turn being explosive for him. If he doesn't do much this turn, though, you know, Benes has a threatening board. Yeah, and Cease is not doing much here. Couple of life and a card's okay, but you know, if I'm Ben, I'm breathing a little sigh of relief if that's how you're starting off this
No robó
turn.
tierra.
No big
Oh,
creature
sí,
hitting
ahí
the
está.
board. That is very nice. There is a land
Pass.
follow-up, but just pass. Demand answers
Yeah,
from Ben.
that's right. And he got rid of another mountain. And Jean Emmanuel, while the way is completely clear, is going to crack a clue, it looked like?
Yep.
Okay. So the stun counters come off of Ben's 2 creatures. He still has
Buena
the
carta
disguised
esa.
creature. Oh, and it's going to get transformed. And look at this. It's a Rift Burst Hellion smashing for 6. Big pressure here from Ben Stark.
Jean Emmanuel the fraud down to 9,
6-7.
and that means whatever this play is going to be needs to be huge. You did see him crack that clue before Krenko could activate. That was the reason to do it before Ben untap, but the result is huge damage coming across, and JD's deck doesn't really have the board wipes to deal
Una
with this.
6-7 que
He
tiene
has his big bomb.
Reach,
It looks
no
like he
tiene
does. The
Arrollar.
Incinerator is in hand. I don't know if he has the mountain, but even if he does, let's say he plays it, he's
Pero habías
still
empatado
dead on
una,
board.
¿no? Contra un Esper Dragon.
He has to block the Hellion, otherwise it's done.
Yeah.
Contra el
And even if he
Brazuca me
does block
parece
the
que era.
Hellion, he's taking a lot of damage here.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so that's a nice one. The exit is going to send the Hellion
Bueno.
back to hand, and that was a lot of mana that Ben sunk into that thing.
Island to the yard.
But, you know, going back all the way to the early stages of the game, the repeat offender is over there looking very threatening.
Yeah, now Ben has 6 mana. That is 2 activations, so that could be a suspected 3-power creature.
Claro, con ese
Right.
empataste.
You know, if Jean Emmanuel's plan here is just to play a disguised creature, he could be facing down 6 damage coming through next turn, and he doesn't have any good blocks for it. Let's see what he plays.
Yeah, or 5 damage, no pump, and then just disguise the Hellion again, and suddenly
Yeah.
you're facing out 3 creatures that are very problematic in your spot.
Right.
I think it's going to be another cease desist here.
Yeah,
Mira
so
cómo aguanta,
This is just too much wheel spinning.
Too much dirtling.
Right. That's a technical term.
Yeah.
I didn't want to overwhelm our audience with technical
It is
terms,
round
but
1. We
yeah.
should slow it down a bit.
Dirtle in a way. But really, right, you know, you look at the case of the Shattered Pack, the 2 copies of Cease that he's cast this turn, a cracked clue. It's just a lot of not board affecting stuff.
Yeah. And
Meanwhile, like everything Ben has done outside of Demand Answers has been board affecting.
And he had the mana in hand. It was just he couldn't really afford to play the Incinerator. He has the Mountain.
Right.
And I think now playing Incinerator
Baja
isn't
dos
good enough
bichos.
on this board because you can almost be certain
Está
that
aguantando a la
Disguise
RG
is
que hace
just
daño a
Hellion
todo.
again.
Ojo, Puede
I
dar.
thought you said turtle. So Ben follows up after the clean attack for 5 there with no blockers whatsoever with Goblin Maskmaker plus a disguised creature. And now he has 4 creatures. Jean Emmanuel will likely be assuming that the disguised creature is that.
A ver si
Hellion.
roba doble rojo.
And
Yeah,
he still has the 3 mana left up to activate.
This is definitely
well.
the problem with this type of deck is he didn't have a clean window to get that Incinerator down, and now there is no opportunity. I think he has the Mountain in hand. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Okay.
I'm not certain, of course, but...
He has hidden that from Ben.
Yes.
Okay, so he's going to go Disguise Creature.
Yeah.
You know, a lot more than that, my friend. And we're going to see end-step Repeat Offender activation here from Stark. So it goes from not being suspected to being suspected, but any future activations will result in +1/+1 counters on it.
Yeah, and...
I don't think John Emanuel can get out of this turn unless he's got some more...
If that's Exit Specialist, he's alive.
Sure.
You know?
True.
Nope, not there. There we go. Definitely don't want that Hellion suspected here. Not in this spot.
Yeah, we know that move, Ben.
Ben's attacking with the team. I think John Emanuel has to go block the Hellion, which we assume it is, and then bounce the Krenko to survive, or bounce the Repeat Offender. Both lead to survival, but you know, at what cost?
Right.
You're not really winning the game.
Turn,
yes,
right.
exactly. It's treading water.
And again, interestingly, the Incinerator, as good as it is, just doesn't work here.
Yes.
You need that window.
Everything about that card is, if you untap with it, you win. It's just, as far as John Emanuel has been able to, he hasn't been able to play it and untap with it. He's known that he's dead.
Okay, so he's going to block Disguise on Disguise.
Le va a devolver una a la mano.
We're assuming this is Exit Specialist.
It has to be, or the game's
that keeps him alive.
Right. And he's going to return the Repeat Offender back to hand. So there's a 5-mana swing there. This is going to be the Hellion.
He has to flip it. He doesn't want to trade off with a 2-drop creature.
Right.
Still has the mana to play the Repeat Offender, and John Emanuel's down to 2 now.
Se va a 2.
With no sweeper in sight for John Emanuel, there's no way he can get out of this mess regardless of what card he draws.
Y vamos al tercero.
3. And, well, you know, a mana stumble from Ben
El
Stark
Rack 2.
got a chance to show the case for the strategy that John Emanuel's playing, and this was the case against. He just drew too much wheel spinning nonsense.
Absolutely. I think saving grace for John Emanuel Duprat, game 3, he's on the play. So he'll be a bit more proactive. He'll be on the board first. So hopefully that will help a bit. But definitely, Ben's deck has shown that it is able to put on the pressure that he needs to not give John Emanuel Duprat free reign.
And here's his perfect opener for Ben as well. The Goblin Mask Maker is his fastest start. And generally speaking, John Emanuel, even on the play, doesn't have ways to interact with it. And we see it straight away. Attack with the Mask Maker and get a Disguised Creature on turn 2. That's the dream start for Ben.
Okay, so John Emanuel has, not the curve, but he has, I believe, the Incinerator in hand. And he has a Topiary Panther to find the second red source.
Game plan acquired.
There is a long-term vision here. Now it's just the
se lo comió. Y mira cómo sale de vuelta agresivo.
Again, preserving his life total to get to that point is of utmost importance.
Ay, pero no tiene tierra.
Trade-off here, and we'll see what it is. That's a pretty nice one, as Ben does get a Thopter out of it.
No tiene tierra negra, boludo.
Another
Qué
drop
lástima.
from Ben Stark, though, Marshall.
So our little experiment.
I've seen this movie before.
Right, we have proven that if Ben doesn't hit his third land drop, it makes it very, very difficult for him to win.
Se hace muy difícil, sí.
In this scenario. This is identical to his opening start.
Okay, there is an issue for John Emanuel Duprat. He doesn't have a 4th land without basic land cycling that Panther.
So he must do so.
He has to do so, and that means he's not able to develop a creature here.
Acá vemos
I believe,
el
the
deck.
Crocodile in hand, so had something he wanted to disguise here, but he needs to get his land drops.
So the question is, if assuming Ben's not hitting his 3rd land, does he have another disguised creature? Because this will unlock an attack with the Mask
Y este
Maker.
es el de...
Wait, does John Emanuel?
Oh, okay. The follow-up was there.
Very nice. What a beautiful turn for John Emanuel, because this does take
El
away
de Ben
the
Stark.
attack from the Mask Maker with the Evidence Examiner as a blocker now.
There is something awkward here. He had to get a forest to make this play.
Oh.
So now there isn't a second red source available for the eventual Incinerator. So yes, you've developed, and of course with no more lands in hand, you can't
¿Cuántas tierras
play
juega?
to that, but you have cost
17
yourself
tierras
that
juega.
sort of line.
Eso es mala suerte,
Ben,
boludo.
unfortunately, did not hit
never
his
mind.
third land.
Sí, está buenísimo para
there's
poder
your
ver el
resource
deck.
there. He did have a shock to kill the evidence
Ah, mirá lo que
examiner,
está jugando.
but honestly, the damage was done because it did examine some evidence.
Yep.
And he's already gotten a chance to crack that clue. Now he's
Es
found
para
the
romper todo. Si
escape
fuera
top,
Ben
and
Stark, perder
as you can
por.
see,
Pero bueno, pasa,
Ben
le pasa a
did
todos.
have the disguise creature there as well after the attack, and the only reason he can even cast it is because of the mask maker at this point. He's got him down to 15, but without that third land, it just feels like he's not going to be able to hold up.
Yeah, I think if Jean-Emmanuel Duprat has, which I have to assume is the mountain in hand if he's getting a swamp here, if he has the mountain and just plays the incinerator on this board, the game is over.
Yeah, Ben has one draw if he has swamp.
Collect the evidence.
And he's got removal that can actually kill it. There it is. Incinerator the guilty on the battlefield. Ben has a one-turn window. Yeah, you don't want to read this one, Ben.
Yeah.
Entró el Dragoncio.
Avert your gaze. I
Entró
don't
el
think you want to be
Dragoncio.
looking at what this
But
card
he
is going
has
to do to you.
complication, right, in his deck. So if he can go swamp and kill it,
I don't think he has Extract Confession.
he doesn't have extract, no. Which is weird.
Tu Edge
Yeah.
criatura
Actually
y tu
really
Edge.
He has Deadly Complication, yes. So he needs it here.
And he
Otherwise,
needs a swamp.
all right,
Yeah,
everybody
so
in.
this is what we call desperation time.
If you're going to lose the board anyways, you may as well get some damage out of it.
That's exactly it. And John Emmanuel will read it that way. He will say, if this is really a forced attack, what's the downside to taking a little bit less damage?
Yeah.
And he's going to go for it.
Yeah, run through the removal your opponent has. If it's Galvanize, it's not good enough. Ben's not finding a way to draw a card here.
Oh, and look at that. He had a swamp, and that's actually not what he needed. And he actually
Se lo mató, boludo.
Punish.
torch the witness does double X damage. And that was enough to kill the incinerator.
Jean-Emmanuel Duprat, if he blocks a 1-drop here, just
Uy, qué lindo que se puso. Robó la tierra justo, boludo.
Oh.
Ben would not have been able to remove it. That is huge for Ben Stark.
That opens the door for Ben to potentially have a chance.
And I think
I wonder if
Jean-Emmanuel
John
Duprat,
Emmanuel regrets that.
I think he went through every piece of removal that
Justo,
Ben had, except for Torch.
Yep.
Didn't think about the X spell, and that is going to be a costly mistake in this spot.
I mean, that was his whole game plan, Monty. Like, it just fell apart in front of him. Now, Ben is still struggling. He just hit his third land drop. We're on turn 8 or whatever. But he is chipping in for damage. He's cut him down to 11. And John
no baja
Emmanuel
criatura,
on board right
boludo.
now.
No board. I think his hand is
Ahí está.
at least 1 land, maybe 2, and a bite down on crime. You need a creature. His deck doesn't have that many of those.
¿Qué criatura puede ser?
Suddenly,
Oh, boy.
life is tough.
This got really interesting really quickly. And remember, there's a lot of cards that John Emmanuel can
El
draw
ogro,
that are lands,
ya lo
get
jugó.
lands, and just don't do anything.
He has 2 bite down on crimes, 1 in hand. He has a repulsive mutation.
Ah,
Hedge Maze
es
put
el
a forest
Helion,
in the
está
yard,
bien.
but the damage is adding up, and soon it's going to be too late.
And there's land number 4 now for Stark.
I think this game is pretty close to over. Ooh.
And is that a macabre reconstruction?
Take a look at your hand.
No, it
Both
is not.
Bite down on crimes.
Oh, man. I guess he gets to leave him with one. A creature off the top here for Jean Emmanuel would be amazing, though.
It would be necessary.
Yeah, that was cerebral confiscation there from
¿Qué haces, Branquita?
Ben.
I,
Estamos viendo a Benny
Exit
Stark.
Specialist is a
Is it
start.
enough?
Enough is a
1-1
long way
está.
away, Marshall. I don't think we're thinking about enough right now.
Mirá
We're
el
thinking
deck
about survival.
que se armó Ben Stark. Con Krenko.
That block, that is the type of block.
Vamos,
That
Branquita.
is not the type of block you want to start your Pro Tour with.
Did he throw it all away?
Y detrás
You know,
se armó un
it's
ramp.
really hard to say. Jean Emmanuel would have gotten an attack in, would have
Cuatro
wiped the board,
colores.
so his life total would be a decent bit higher. Ben would have hit the 4th land, would have gone for the Torch the Witness for 3. That would have killed the dragon.
El X.
So it would have been a bit of a stalemate,
Okay.
but Jean-Emmanuel Duprat would have 2 bite down in crimes in hand, would have a lot
Sí, le fue
higher
mal.
life total,
Ganó la
and
primera
wouldn't be
y
facing two of the
ahora
creatures that he's
está muy
currently facing.
complicado, boludo.
You know, it's a branching path.
Right.
I wouldn't say he won or lost the game.
Mañana
but
tengo draft de esta
it was a
expansión
big,
en físico.
costly block for 1 life.
Can you imagine being in Ben's seat?
Look, Ben's been playing this game for a very, very long time. He has had
Robó la criatura y
plenty
tiene el
of
removal en la
opponents
mano.
make blocks like that. He has been the blocker in that situation. He understands that sometimes when you're thinking of 40 cards, there's one you forget.
Incredible. All right, Ben's going to attack with
Sí, igual rampeó,
Disguise Creature, Mask Maker,
Y
and
Ben
Thopter all
Stark
coming in.
erró dos
The only
Landro.
creature on the other side is the face down Disguise card. He doesn't know what it is. We do.
Yeah, if Jean Emmanuel blocks the Mask Maker, he is giving up, well, he would be
That was
theoretically
toxin analysis there from Ben.
giving up the ability to flip, but now he can because they will be trading anyways. So can get rid of the Thopter or the Disguise Creature if he is looking to use the extra mana. I think getting rid of the Thopter permanently might be a little more appealing here. Yeah.
Le levantó el
Quotes, killing a
Tóptero.
creature,
Yeah.
You got to take it. Ben did resolve the toxin analysis, so he has and he did attack with the Mask Maker. I'm curious
Ojo,
if
no es tan mediocre.
as a follow-up.
Te da pista y lifelink. No me desagrada. Ahora lo vamos a ver.
Disguise Creature and the follow-up question.
Medio pelo, es verdad.
What do you got, Ben? No, he's gonna
Toque
crack
mortal,
the
lifelink.
So
Y
that leads me to
también
think he doesn't
investigás.
have anything. Well, yeah, Disguise Creature would have been insane there.
Yeah.
But instead he's going to pass
Cinco
the turn back.
puntitos.
John Emanuel's down
Sí.
to
That's an island.
5 life. Another land.
Para completar el deck, boludo.
Oh, that's painful.
And Ben
And he says go.
had perfect information. He knows Jean Emmanuel's card is a bite down on crime, so
Es la
with the
6-7,
Casio,
¿no?
that card's
Es
not
la
doing
6-7
anything.
la que tiene en
It's
mesa, boludo.
There's very little Jean Emmanuel Duprat is representing here, so
Right.
Ben has free reign to get pretty close to lethal here.
So the interesting thing then is this a Rift Burst Hellion? Like, why isn't it transformed if it's not?
I
Right?
think it is either a Rift Burst
¿Qué te
Hellion
armaste?
or
¿Un 4
it is
colores?
the Shady Informant,
Okay.
which wouldn't quite be lethal,
Ahí está
so
la-
maybe you want to
la
save
víbora,
back,
que
of
tiene
course,
Reach,
if you
está
do
buena,
flip it, that would be pretty close to lethal. Oof.
Yeah, 4 damage is a lot.
Yeah. And here we go.
Uy,
Three
mirá lo que le
cards, let's see
jugó,
what they are.
boludo.
Is that an outrageous robbery he just played?
It is. an
Ah,
outrageous
mirá la
robbery.
bomba que tiene,
That's got to be
boludo.
enough fuel to push him across the finish line, especially against Jean Emmanuel, who just can't seem to find any action off the top of his library. Ben Stark looks at cease and desist. He's like, really?
Yeah, cool.
Ah, la bomba que le
All right,
jugó,
Hellion coming
boludo.
on
And
through.
this is going to
Good
be a
game.
Hellion,
Ahí
and
se
that's
lo
going to
ganó.
be lethal. And Ben Stark
Sí,
picks
le
up
roba
round
cartas.
one over Jean Emmanuel Duprat. And, well, we've got all of our evidence collected, and now we know what strategy's best.
Bueno.
Be aggressive. Sample size, 1 match.
Sample size 1 is all you need, Marshall.
That's right.
Ahí vengo.
Rough for Jean Emmanuel Duprat. I
Cualquier
think
cosa estoy en
first
Discord,
started
boludo.
turning
Voy a ir
that
al
way,
baño.
but, you know, both of these guys seasoned veterans at this point, and
That's right.
I don't think it's going to shake
Ahí
him too
vengo.
much, but that is a rough way to go for that one.
It is. John Emmanuel has a strong mental presence, like he is going to be able to just move.
Acá volví. Estaba bueno el deck de Ben Stark, Lo voy a tener ahí.
There is a live look at people as they stream in here at MagicCon Chicago. 12,000 Magic players. And a look over here at the Pro Tour area where we have 258 of the best in the world competing for the title of champion and their share of a $500,000 prize pool here this weekend at Pro Tour Murders at Karlov Manor. Hey everybody, Marie Bertholdi. We've got Cedric Phillips and Riley Knight here at the desk. And if you're thinking, hey, I want to be where those pros are here this weekend, the Store Championship is a great way to get started. Grab your deck and get ready for the Store Championship taking place at a WPN game store
Ahí arranca,
near you.
Ángel Spade, Doughty. Mira el Doughty. Y el Mortify.
Everyone who participates takes home Mortify. The top 8 players are awarded Angel of Despair, and the winner, they take home a foil textless version of Dorothy Voidwalker. Even better, WPN Premium stores will have their store name printed on the top 8 and winner promo cards, making your victory there clear. So check that out. Well, Riley Knight has been down on the floor talking to our players from our featured pod. What an awesome feature match that was, Riley. Tell me all about it.
It was interesting to catch up with the players from our featured pod, particularly JED and Ben Stark. In particular, talking to JED about how his draft went. He said that the draft went to plan, right? He said that this was how he wanted to draft. He was actually happy with how the cards fell his way. He wished he had sort of moved more heavily into white, but broadly speaking was happy where he ended up. Didn't see enough bombs to really get the deck that he was hoping for. And the quote that I got from him was, "I liked my deck better than my play," which I thought was an interesting angle.
Yeah.
Been
Anyway,
there.
But the other thing, on the other side of things, I did also catch up with Ben Stark, who started his pack one, pick one with a burden of proof, right? Very happy to see that as his opening pick, and then got
Ben
Massacre
Stark,
Girl,
1994.
picked 2,
Ocho.
and so jumped into black.
Top
Despite it being what he
8
said to be the worst color, he thought it was open.
Championship Pro Tour Paris. Mira, ganó el de París.
Red cards were flowing in pack number 2, and then he ended up with what he described, again, these are his words, as the most average deck I've ever drafted.
Wow.
So he wasn't unhappy with that. He said, I don't mean that as a beat. It is what it is, and I'm sure he will be happy to have picked up a win against JED. Around the traps though, Maria, I want to tell you about this because I found, oh boy, quite the draft pod out on the floors here. How's this for a draft pod, right?
Sanchito,
Alexander
¿Qué hace, Dieguito? ¿Todo bien?
Restored champion, Christian Calcano,
Hola, bro.
Estaba viendo.
right?
¿Se me escucha? El Pro Tour.
sí, ya lo he visto, me has escrito por...
Javier Dominguez, the
El draft.
2018 World
Aprovechando que mañana.
in the Hall of Fame. All these people in the same pod.
Mañana tengo
Shuhei
draft de
Nakamura,
esto en
also
físico.
in the Hall of
Ah,
Fame,
sí.
and
Sí, espera que voy a bajar un poquito.
Brennan Crawford from my hometown
¿Vos?
of
¿Todo
Melbourne,
bien?
Australia, who traveled
Bien, tío, bien. Estaba viendo una película arriba, tranquilito en la cama. Y ya se ha terminado y digo, vamos a ver qué hace Michito.
Sí, estaba viendo el draft. Entretenido.
¿Hasta qué hora hay draft?
Ahora sí, están en draft.
¿Hasta qué hora?
Creo que hasta las 1 horita más.
O sea, ¿cuántas
Tres
rondas son de...?
3 rondas.
3 rondas.
Sí.
Llevan 2 ya, ¿no?
2, sí. Terminó la primera.
Pues bien, ¿quién quieres que gane el Pro Tour?
Me da igual.
Espero que digas o un argentino o un español.
No, me da igual. No, yo hincho por Luis o algún latino, ¿viste? Me da igual. Si hay latinos, mejor.
Eso no lo haces en el Mundial, ¿eh? En el Mundial bien que bancas a Argentina, ¿eh? Y a
sí,
Messi.
Olvídate.
Ah, pero en Magic no, ¿no?
No, en Magic sí. Si está Luis Salvato, prefiero que gane él. Pero si no, bueno, cualquier latino, me da igual. Español.
Ah, pero es en el Mundial. Si Argentina se sale, preferirías que ganara Brasil, por ejemplo, a
No, menos
Francia.
Brasil, cualquier. No, prefiero que gane Francia en ese momento.
¿Y Uruguay?
A Uruguay me pondría contento si sale campeón. Es que no ganan desde, qué sé yo, el año 30, 40.
Vaya. A ver. Último
Creo que fue en el
Mundial
50.
de Uruguay. La última vez que Uruguay ganó un Mundial fue en el 50, sí.
Claro, a Brasil creo que le ganó.
Y logró el cuarto puesto en 3 ocasiones. Suiza 54, México 70 y Sudáfrica 2010.
Mira.
Antes de que lo ganara Argentina este último, ¿cuánto hacía que no lo ganaban? Desde el de Maradona, el 70 y pico, ¿no?
30 años, del 86.
El 86. Ese fue el de la mano de...
Sí,
De la mano de...
la mano de Dios.
De Dios, ¿no?
Sí. Jean Emmanuel de Pras. Tenía terrible bomba, tenía el dragón con Collect Evidence, pero lo regaló. Lo bajó.
No lo piqueó.
Sí, en la última lo bajó así sin protegerlo, sin nada.
Ah, ya.
No
Lo bajó
tiró
y se lo mataron.
Sí, no tiró ninguna bombita. No,
Tío,
encima
yo-
bloquea un bicho. El flaco con 2 maná abiertos bloquea un bicho y le hace -4, -2, -2 y se lo mata.
Madre.
El flaco tenía que dejar pegar ese turno y pegar en el próximo y collect evidence y limpiarle la mesa. Lo regaló.
Claro.
Y Ben Stark se armó un... Acá dice Benny que había dinosaurios cuando Uruguay ganó el mundial.
¿Quién crees que gana el próximo?
Y
Pero Argentina
Francia va a
ya no
estar.
llega, ¿no? Francia va a tener un equipazo para el
Francia va a
próximo.
estar un equipazo.
Inglaterra va a tener un equipazo también.
Inglaterra también, pero bueno, son esos eternas promesas que llegan al mundial y no pasa nada. Está bien, el mundial
Sí,
pasado perdieron con Francia en semis y eso fue hace 2 mundiales. Y el mundial pasado pierde con Francia en octavos.
Bueno, pero es que si te toca a Francia puedes perder. O sea,
Sí, no,
si
por
le
eso
toca
te digo. Tuvo
Francia,
mala
Argentina,
suerte.
igual cae Argentina y no gana el mundial. O sea,
Tuvo
que,
mala suerte.
así que-
Sí. Me refiero a eso, que tuvo mala suerte con los cruces.
lo peor que te puede pasar es que te toque la fase de eliminación Francia o Alemania, tío. Esos son los peores que te pueden tocar siempre.
2 arcontes tiene. Destruido el deck. Sí, estaba destruido ahí, dice.
Yo estoy harto de perder en el limitado este contra el Rakdos, el bicho este, tío.
Ah, sí.
He perdido como 5 partidas, tío. El otro día perdí 2 seguidas.
¿Con cuál?
Contra el Rakdos,
¿Qué hace el Rakdos? ¿Este Rakdos?
es un 6-6 vuela que roba cartas.
Ah, sí.
No lo puedes matar y te mueres, o sea, te mueres. Tu rival empieza a robar 2 cartas por turno.
Por turno y
O
se
sea,
va.
o sea, 2 más la de turno.
Sí.
Empieza a pegarte 6 por arriba y te mueres
se te
en...
va, se te va. Sí. Destruido el de... A ver cómo vienen. Vienen 1-1, game 1.
¿Quién lleva los arcontes? ¿El chino?
Sí, destruido. 2 arcontes tiene, boludo. ¿Qué estaba drafteando con Bananín y Bananón? ¿Cómo van a dejar pasar ese arconte, boludo?
Igual es pick 1, o sea, pick 1, pack 1, pick 1, pack 2, ¿no?
Claro,
O pack 3.
capaz que es así, sí.
O a lo mejor es pick 2, pack 2, a lo mejor
Claro.
lo típico de que alguien ya se ha decantado por los colores y...
Y perdió, boludo. Perdió el primer game. No, no te puedo creer. Bueno, hay que ver con qué está acompañado.
¿Quién perdió el primer game?
El chinito este, el japonés, Hasegawa.
¿Van 0-0? ¿Van 0-0?
No, pero perdió la primera ronda.
Ah, pegó la primera ronda. Ya, bueno, es que si no te salen los...
Yeah, there you go. Thinking cap, not a card that we see a ton of, but in the blue-white strategy where there's your entire deck is detectives, the card can be pretty strong. And you know, we see a lot more defensive creatures.
Vas a ver la Rasgos Vampiros esa en acción, tío.
Sí. Uy, mirá, le bajó el Lord de... El Lord de Detectives.
Así.
Roba carta, investiga. Esa carta está viendo juego, ¿no? En el construido. El instantáneo ese, que por 2 robás carta e investigás. ¿O no?
Sí.
Está bueno.
Y en Pioneer también. Aunque a mí me parece mejor el que
El que
hace
roba.
Fortel.
Sí, el que... ¿No es mejor el que roba por 3, 2 cartas?
Bueno, pero si quieres hacer algo en turno 2,
Claro.
prefiero hacer Foretel y al siguiente turno robar 2 y hacer Scry 2.
Sí. Uy, le bajó el pajarito. Le exilia 2 cartitas.
Me tocará el Diego en el Konami, Mencho.
¿En qué Konami, amigo?
En el eFootball.
Ah, ¿y cuándo? ¿Qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Está ahí alguna promo o algo?
Mira, hay una movida de los penaltis.
Sí.
Entonces, si marco el penalti, me dan un jugador al azar entre 2. El Diego y un cono.
Uy, a ver.
¿Quieres verlo?
Sí.
Vale, le he tirado el penalti, que este nuevamente lo metes. ¿Lo ves ya, no?
Sí.
Vale, pues tiramos el penalti. Para adentro. Llegamos ahí al baloncito ese de fútbol. Y nos han dado un worldwide, ¿vale? Entonces este worldwide.
Sí.
Ahora tengo que venir aquí, pillarlo. Y vamos a ver si me toca el Diego, tío. Si me toca el Diego, recupero la esperanza en el juego.
Bien.
Si no... No, esto no es, joder.
Uy, 2 cartitas nada más. Y bueno, tienen la investigación.
Venga, venga, Diego. 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 Vale. Mira. Estos son los que me pueden tocar, ¿vale? Costa Curta.
Ese era bueno, defensor del Milan.
Costa Curta. El Diego. O Cobel. ¿Quién crees que me tocará?
A ver. El Diego. A ver.
Diego, ¿no?
Sí. Estás con un
Tiene que ser el
argentino.
Diego, ¿no?
Tiene que... Estás con un argentino.
Venga, venga, Diego. Vamos, 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 vamos. ¿El Diego?
¿Y qué? ¿Ahora lo pusieron al Diego? Ah, porque ya recuperaron los derechos de...
Me imagino. ¡No!
No.
Oh, Costa Curta, tío.
Buen defensor igual, ¿eh?
Tremendo pomo.
Pero no es el Diego.
A chupar la juego. Aquí. Ya. Vas contra todo el mundo y todo el mundo tiene el puto Diego menos yo, tío.
Sí.
Igual la que tiene montado el de plaza ahí ya,
Ese truquito está bueno, el Repulsive Mutation, boludo.
Win a game by just pumping earlier against Ben Stark. Didn't win the last 2, but whenever you get the counterspell mode attached to it, it just is such a beating.
Oh yeah. There's quite a few Summit cards where they land or they resolve in a matchup and you're just like, oh no. But then
Yes.
you doppelgang.
Yeah,
That
oh
card's killed me so
my,
many times.
so many times. 8 mana, doppelgang?
Está tapeado.
Yeah, GG's. Okay, cool, bye. Not fun at all to face up against that. So where does Jean-Emmanuel go from here? He has the evidence examiner, which is doing good work for him. He is going to run out of stuff to exile, though, pretty quickly.
Yep. And I bet this is a crocodile. It just...
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
another 5 mana one.
Offender at large.
Yeah.
Still a decent amount of damage, and giving the buff.
Yep, definitely played like that was the case last turn with the ability to flip it up into that 4/4 blocker. But, you know, there is the flip side of that you could kind of bluff that scenario thinking, well, this attack would only make sense. You know I have Disguise Creatures that flip up for 5, so you can kind of play these mind games. One of the things I absolutely
Lo salió a correr.
love is limited format. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love it.
It's almost like the format where it's like, I don't feel like I should be blocking because there's also so many combat tricks. I mean, the disguise creatures in and of themselves are combat tricks.
Yep.
For the most part, you know.
Lo mandó a uno. Boludo.
Talk about a bomb. Here is
La bomba.
Yeah, and now
El arconte le jugó.
JED is definitely not going to survive the next turn, so it's all up to JED to clear out this blocker and try to get in there. So maybe a bit of a aggressive all-in attack here if JED has one way to move that blocker out of the way. Now, of course,
let's see if he has anything that could get him through.
I mean, yeah, the ability on Ezreal with 2 mana open, it's very tough to push through.
Yeah. Exit specialist.
¿Qué va a hacer? Ah, va a robar.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
No, if we are digging, this is not good for our reigning world champion.
Y tiene otro más, sí, destruido el deck.
Removal, even 2 pieces of removal is not going to do it. You really got to have something tricky to get through that ability to give it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
¿Cómo perdió la primera ronda este muchacho? A ver, vamos a ver el deck. Acá te sale. Tiene 2 de estos. ¿Y con negro qué tiene? A Teisa tiene. Y juega el Corset to Kill.
That was really smart. If you get into a situation where you try to give it lifelink, you know, and then a removal spell.
Mirá los artefactos, claro, y juega. Ah, está bueno. Está destruido el deck, boludo. Acá lo estamos viendo. ¿Estás, Dieguito?
Sí.
Ah, Misty, Joy Analysis, Sprite. Tiene este, ¿cuánto? 1. Está bien, se armó un expert detectives. En realidad el negro con el splash a Teisa y a este. Cursor to Kill. ¿Y qué tiene? ¿Tierras? 6 islas. Ah, mirá, tiene una sólida. No juega. Y este, bueno, ya lo vimos. El 4 colores. Esper bombas. Sí, más que Esper bombas, tiene un UY detectives y tiene estos 2 arcontes que son destruidos. Y el negro.
Negro lleva un bicho solo, ¿no?
Sí. ¿Se quedó con una sola tierra?
Madre mía, el de pera.
Sí, ya está tilteado, ¿eh? ¿Qué hizo? Se quedó con... Bueno, ahí la robó. Pum.
Exit getting rid of the token, so don't have to worry about the 3 power there, but still, this is not looking good.
Yeah, and I mean, that's best possible on turn 2 from JD's deck. There's not a lot of 2 mana removal spells that he has, so being able to kill a creature and surveil likely a land to the top is definitely a good start, but you really need...
Vale, con los putos Scred, tío. Loco.
Talking about being on the defensive or trying to play the defensive game. He's forced to in this situation. He's not even able to defend in a way that he would have profit, you know?
Yep, 100%. And I did see that beautiful 5-drop in hand. And there it is.
Oh, yep. And as the guy was just slamming, he's like, I don't need protection for this thing. What are you going to do against this?
Yeah, like most of the removal JD can play, like, yeah, maybe you get, can't even really do a bite down on crime. Like, there's no real removal spell this early in the game that can deal with it with JD stumbling. so early on.
Oh, this is so rough. But yeah, when I saw this deck list for Hasegawa, I was like, how do you beat that?
Yeah. It is just really the story of a very smooth, consistent deck.
Ya lo corrió demasiado, boludo. Mirá, le bajó el arconte, todo.
You know, you need your mana to agree with you, so if you get in these situations where you're behind on the battlefield, JD's deck just doesn't have that way to claw back that easily.
Not at all. So shuffling up here, Jean-Emmanuel looking at options,
Gotta be
checking his
a bite down
pace
on Private
notes.
Eye.
Yeah, something.
Gotta be. I don't even know if that's enough, but it's gotta be step one. I did see it in hand for JD, so I think it's a little bit of a...
Está re tilteado.
Still stay alive
Espera.
here. Oh, yeah, bounce the card that lets you draw 2 more cards over time. Usually not the best value play, but...
Oh boy. It buys him a turn.
Yeah. Okay, and there is 4 more damage coming in. Down to 3, and if Hasegawa has just another land to protect this powerful flyer, it would already be too much. But
Yeah.
even if he doesn't have the land, that means he just has gas in hand, so... Yeah, JD is in for it.
Uf,
There's the handshake.
se quedó una mano re polémica,
That one
boludo.
was, huh, Corey?
Yeah,
Good grief.
very, very open and shut there.
Yeah, yeah, clean whistle, clean way there for Shoichi Hasegawa to get back into this 1-1 at the moment. For Jean-Emmanuel fans, unfortunately, the overall champ is 0-2 in a limited portion.
Yeah,
Not
you
where
know,
you want to be.
not where you want to be for sure, especially after winning the last tournament, but if anybody is able to come back from...
¿De Pra fue el que ganó el último Pro Tour?
Mundial.
¿Mundial? Ah, claro. Porque está diciendo que fue el último que ganó el torneo. Y después, amigo Dieguito, ¿qué sabes? ¿Es Pioneer o estándar?
Pioneer.
Ah, bien. Va a estar lindo, de verdad. El nuevo Tavern Inspector. Bueno, receso de 2 minutitos. No sé cómo perdió la primera ronda el japonés. No, Benny, esta es la segunda, queda una rondita más. Y ahí voy a hacer un parate y vuelvo en... Tengo que ir a comprar unas cositas y vuelvo en 40 minutos, media hora. Che, así que lo pusieron al Diegote.
Sí.
¿Todos tienen un tirito para abrirlo?
Sí.
A ver cómo venimos con eso. En Steam, ¿no? ¿Estaba en Steam? Ese sí. A ver si lo... biblioteca. No sé si lo tengo instalado o no, al Futuro. Ah, no, lo tengo desinstalado. Ah, lo tengo en la Play, así que después lo veo en la Play.
Es un coñazo. Tienes que meter un penalti cada día.
Claro.
Durante... Llevo yo desde Navidades haciéndolo, ¿eh?
Ah, no.
Y todavía no he conseguido al Diego. Sí. Y lo hago todos los días, o
Claro.
casi todos los días.
Claro, claro.
Una ruina.
Welcome back to
Ruina ruinosa.
Murders at Karlov Manor from Chicago, Illinois. I'm Ailey Loney, and I have Corey Baumeister with me in the booth. It is round number 2, and we have seen some pretty quick games
Pesado.
just before the break. But we're going to jump in now to another match for you, friends, where it is Derek Davis up against Ben Stark. These players are
1-1. Ben Stark,
for
Derek Davis.
the pod win, as it were, in the next round for whoever this matchup. So Derek Davis, top 8 last year, is looking to continue and improve upon that record, and Ben is one of
A ver el deck.
the most well-known and respected limited players in Magic.
El Monastery sweepear en turno 2, tío. Es que es de coña, ¿no?
¿Qué estás jugando? ¿Estándar?
Sí. 3 Monastery sweepear en turno 2, tío.
Esta es la última ronda.
Te parece una broma, ¿verdad?
¿Qué tiene? Un Boros. Uy, está destruido el deck. Bastante, un Boros agresivo. Está bien. Ah, mira, juega esto. Ah, está bien.
Ha perdido el de Pratt, ¿no?
Sí, perdió. Se quedó con una mano muy fea.
Bueno, una tierra, tío. Campeón del mundo que se queda una mano con una tierra en limitado.
Un Boros agresivo, che.
Peter Fender down on the board along with the disguise creature for Ben Stark. Disguise number 1, as he shall heretofore be known. Getting in for 2 points of damage, unless Ben doesn't care too much about what's under the hood there, but we'll take 2 points of damage. And following up here, we'll get disguise number 3.
Please, disguise number 1 was my father.
What?
Dice, what? Se hace el gracioso. Qué hijo de...
Corey, never change.
And a lot of
Oh, Massacre Girl, let's go! Oh, I'm sorry, I like this card, can you tell?
that card is absolutely incredible. One of the best, rarest mythics in this entire set.
Oh, bringing back an old mechanic in Wither, so if you block, your stuff is getting smoked. It's gonna get real teeny tiny, so this makes blocking incredibly difficult. If it doesn't just outright kill your creature, it's definitely handicapping it.
Exactly, and I don't even think that's the best line of text
No,
on
it's
Massacre
not.
Girl.
It's not.
Being able to draw a card every time you put a creature into the graveyard really helps. So here is a dog walker. Derek Davis has 2 dog walkers as well.
¿Viste Guardiola? Que dijo que quiere jugar una Copa América, una Eurocopa o un Mundial siendo lo que es técnico de una selección.
Sí.
Yep, but still some really solid ones.
Yeah, it does have a concealed weapon hiding out.
Yep.
That could pretend to be a critter. There is the Foreign Familiar he's playing too, which we don't see very often.
Yeah.
But that Pyrotechnic Performer, if we can get that in conjunction with the other disguise critters, then we could see some cannons blasting Ben Stark off this board.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I look at this list more, there are a ton of disguise creatures. So it is near impossible for Ben to get a good idea of which ones these are, as there's just a ton. Yeah.
Oh, Fenrir Lodge with the Pyrotechnic Performer? That's gross.
Yeah, Pyrotechnic Performer is just really, really a powerful card. Something that, it's an aggressive red drop that you don't really need to attack with to close out the game. Like, that card can just sit back and demand...
Sí, bueno, esta vez no tuvo problemas con las tierras.
To deal with it, so, yeah.
There's some crowd control warden too, that's even bigger if this critter's on the board. Oh, this deck is gross. I like it.
But not a lot of clean answers for Massacre Girl.
No.
There's Shock, there's Lightning Helix, there's Case of the Gateway Express. That's probably going to be the best answer.
Le mete los perritos. Un Boros bastante agro, está bueno.
That though is when you target another creature with it, if Ben were to remove a creature, then it doesn't work.
Yeah. So he needs these critters in abundance to be able to get them to fire off, but Krenko now too. Oh, man.
Un Krenko.
Just rare after rare here for one Benjamin Stark, and now the menacing Massacre Girl swinging in here with Krenko, who has haste, and disguise number 2. So,
Lo está corriendo, ¿eh?
Yeah, it's brutal because you pretty much have to take the 7 damage from Massacre Girl and Krenko, otherwise you're chump blocking here. So it's, do you want to jump into that disguise too? And with, the way that Ben tapped, with having 2 mountains open, you probably...
Está pegando por 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 con la... le jugó Krenko y la masacre. Se va a 5.
Yeah, if that was a gadget technician with the Wither, Massacre Girl would trigger and you draw a card.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's just such a tricky game with Massacre Girl on the board because every death now gives Ben Stark even more benefit than just having one of your creatures removed.
Yep. No, cards in hand for Derek. While
¿Qué pasó?
if it gets blocked, that's another card for Ben. There's just so many bad case scenarios here.
On the job, one time.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that we can do here, even if it is the gadget technician. That's 2 blockers. But yeah, it just looks like he's jamming.
Yep.
In the red zone. Let's go.
Not jamming with everything, so that's definitely leading me to believe that Derek does not have any way to push through lethal damage here. So Derek's trying to do a conservative attack to get some in while trying to block and ideally taking down Massacre Girl before you can really start trying to mass take care of these creatures.
Yeah. So leaving some blockers back, he does have a couple instances of life gain in the deck that we've seen. We saw the Lightning Helix available to him, got the Crowbot Haunch. What else could we do here to just stem the bleeding a little bit? That's pretty much it, yeah. So here is the attack. What is Benstock going to do? Does he care about it at all? Because this isn't threatening lethal with a on the job, is it? It's 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay.
¿Qué puede ser? ¿Otro perrito?
It's tempting. I would be really
Ah, el 5-5, el 4-4 este o
at
este.
least in front of the dog walker because that eliminates a blocker.
Ah,
on
un
Ben
dog.
when Ben
Wait.
plans to attack in plus nets Ben a card.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I would really kind of snap off here. Now, if it is a gadget technician as well, which it looks like here it is, you can also, throw that token in front of the dog token or something, but I don't think you really need to do that. And there's some thought to Ben just not blocking here and trying to, crack back for lethal next turn.
I'm looking for 1 toughness things or less to die from Massacre Girl. So the temptation would be there for an extra card.
Yep.
Multiples, it's not just win 1 or more. Cards. We like cards.
Yeah.
We're Magic players. We give yes, yes. Unlimited power. There we go. Alrighty, so jumping in the way there of the popper. Ben Stark, monster. I'm sure everyone.
¿Tiene
listening
vigilancia ese?
ready to kill the gorgeous puppy.
Those are some adorable tokens.
3-1, ¿no? Yo creo
Sí.
que
Yeah.
Es muy bueno.
Yep, 2 cards drawn here for Ben. 2 critters down. What's the follow-up here for Derek Davis? Tapping 3s. Another disguise critter coming on out. Sure is.
Okay, this is going to be a big attack coming back at Derek, though.
Oh yeah, this is gonna hurt because there is menacing attack there from Massacre Girl herself, the 3-2, and then Krenko, who's a 3-3.
Yeah, I think something like the one of Lightning Helix for Derek Davis, such an incredible removal spell. Looks like that was connecting the dots.
Yeah, that does nothing right.
Yeah, connecting the dots, not doing anything. But just a Helix to be able to kill a creature if Ben were to attack all, and then maybe be able to attack back would be something Derek would need. But without that, you just got to get into combat here. Hope one of these creatures you have can maybe take out Massacre Girl. But yeah, either way you slice it, Derek's in a lot of trouble here.
Disguise numbers 4 and 5 might be on Massacre Girl duty here. Alright, we're gonna kill off the other 2. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, just a jump block with a puppy.
So this is just looking to go to 1, hope to
Yeah.
find a way
Bloquea, lo da vuelta.
Oh,
Okay.
sneaky. Okay, I like that a lot. There's the concealed weapon we mentioned earlier, so that's going to equip onto the puppy, perhaps, to kill Krenko?
No, this is
no.
Derek Davis saying, I want to
I wanna
win the
win."
game.
Yeah.
That prevents a card as well because the disguised creature dying to the technician would have triggered Massacre Girl as well. So concealed weapon, very flavorful
Yeah.
and really powerful as well. I absolutely love that.
Le jugó el armita este con...
Very neat play there from Derek Davis. I'm just waiting for like a shock to the face or something to finish things off here.
Yeah.
But the turn pass
Está
is
buena,
for
eh.
Derek Davis. What is the draw? Can he close this out? There is a disguised creature in the way there. Can he deal 11 damage?
¿Qué será? ¿La que tiene lifelink?
Tough. Something like Lightning Helix to get the creature out of the way. No, that's probably not even enough here. With that other card being connecting the dots, like I think I saw there
Yeah.
from Derek Davis, I don't think it's really possible. But we We shall see. With a couple disguise creatures,
El
you know,
disguise ese que es
It could be anything.
lo que cuesta darle la vuelta.
Sí.
No boats in the set though, so
¿Y por qué lo ponen
not that.
público para que el otro lo vea? Si eso se supone que es una información que el rival no puede tener.
No, 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 el desguise es...
It's not enough, it is
¿Qué le da
not
una
enough.
tierra?
That was a lot of damage that he had coming
El
from
desguise
there.
quiere decir que para darlo es lo que cuesta, es como el morph, como decir morph.
Claro, pero eso no es una información pública, eso es una información que solo la sabes tú, no la sabe tu rival.
No, no, pero no pone el coste, sino el ward. Sería como desguise es que tiene
No,
ward
bro.
2.
No, bro.
¿Sí? ¿O no?
No.
Let's jump into
Si no pone el coste de lo que tenés que darlo vuelta.
and go into round
Pues
number
luego da la sensación de que pone eso.
No, no, no.
Kick things off here with the surveil land from Derek Davis.
Qué buenas que están las tierras nuevas, Están buenísimas. Y en Modern que sean fechables.
Mm.
These surveil lands are so cool, by the way.
I love
Making a big impact in so many different formats.
It's great. I mean, this set overall, you know, Versa Karlov Manor has been really impactful in many formats. You're
Yep.
going to see a bunch of it in Pioneer later today, so
For sure.
yeah, if you're looking forward to the constructed portion of this, we'll be there pretty quick. So
And here was that
Tremendo
play
choque
that
se ha
we
llevado.
saw the flip
Sí.
side of game one. Shock on the draw from Ben to the 2-drop here. You know, Derek, that put Derek really
Uy,
far
sale
ahead in that
Krenko.
scenario,
Boom,
and this
3.
puts Ben really far ahead in this scenario with a Krenko coming
¿Ves?
in
Pone
to deal
disguise
damage
1.
this early in the
¿Qué
game.
coño es disguise 1?
Krenko has so
Que es
many
el primer token.
if you're playing
Ah, que es el primer disguise.
Claro.
get with the detective satchel, I think
Para
that's the second things that get
el tema del mareo y esas cosas.
There we go.
Entiendo, entiendo, entiendo.
Uy, mira cómo les...
because
boludo.
Dogwalker
Dogwalker
sick 'em boy.
into Case of the Gateway Express. Case of the
Qué
Gateway
salida,
Express.
boludo.
White's my favorite color to draft in this format, and that is my absolute favorite uncommon. Just incredible. Just a great removal spell because your deck already wants to go.
Fíjate que el otro la controla con el choque y tal.
Sí, 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 pero mira esa salida.
Having a kind of glorious anthem here, being able to pump
Muy
the team,
agresivo el
late in the
Boritos.
game just ends up being so devastating to play against.
Yeah, when this flips, that entire
Encima ahora ataca con los 3, te lo da vuelta al caso.
Yeah, and it
Parece
will see
construido el
this
deck.
turn, you know, Ben will have to wait in combat here and kill this Dogwalker.
Ah, se lo mata, se lo mata.
Just to stop this case from being solved right now.
nice. Whoosh. Shadows.
But it can easily get solved next turn, and having to deal with a creature every single turn from Ben is not very feasible, because he's got some removal, but not an absolute
Yeah.
ton.
In general, you want to be playing more creatures than you're playing removal, but sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, the cards that come to you, it's just like, oh, I'm
Es fundamental quien arranca, Increíble, cómo te cambia la partida.
Massacre Girl, perhaps.
Pero todos estás jugando mazo agresivo.
Sí, por eso.
The old Massacre Girl here would be great for Ben.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Deal with the battlefield cleanly.
Pero bueno, ahora mismo tampoco el otro está tan mal, ¿eh? O sea, que hay un 2-2 y 2-1-1, tampoco es...
Ravnica Legions, or whichever one it was, at a pre-release, and it was gross.
Yeah, that card was incredible.
Ooh, a deadly complication here, however, as
Oh,
you kill the cat and the dog.
the value there, being able to return that case for a later removal spell, if you're for sure not going to flip it here, absolutely incredible.
I'm mad about the cat, but you know what? It's okay.
A lot of cool combos with that cat as
Oh,
well
yeah.
in this format.
It's sweet. A lot of people don't like it, but you know, I find it pretty useful if you're playing a more slower, grindy game.
Yep, I'm a fan of with the 3-mana blue enchantment that taps down their creature.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can pay 2 to shuffle it back with that ability on the stack, flip
Oh,
it up
yeah,
and
you
return
can,
it. Yeah, that's my favorite play with that one. Really nice.
I forget the name of the enchantment in Theros, but you do that too with
Yep.
this Dreadful Apathy.
Yep.
You know, you get it activated, then bounce it back and be like, aha, still got all of these.
Yes.
That's sweet.
Okay, so another disguised creature for Derek with that case in hand, so you can kill this Repeat Offender and be able to solve the case here, and
Yeah.
with 3 creatures in play, there's no way Ben can disrupt that. So putting that creature out there, Ben has to kind of have a plan, because this is pretty face-up information here, and it seems like a slam dunk play.
Yep, it's definitely gonna kill that. There go the critters. So for 4 damage, and the case will be
Ya no vuelve,
And that at the end step is
Vamos al tercero.
Yeah.
If that got solved, you know, in
combat,
it would
yeah.
be so good.
It's just basically like playing Fuss, you know?
Yup. Yup.
Ooh, Microwatch Phantom. Ooh, that's so shiny. I like this card too. This is probably one of my favorite commons.
Premium common in the best color. Absolutely an incredible card. Oof. That card is also
Undercity
extremely
Eliminator.
good.
Yeah, I got nothing to do though. It's just a 3/3 at this point.
Yeah, you want to pair it with something, and Ben does have a decent amount of
No
stuff
se
to pair
rinde,
it with. You know, there's a puzzle knot in there as a little bit of a flashback, as well as just some clues and stuff like that. But just a 5-mana 3/3 here is not it, and this is looking like a clean victory here for Derek, as long as he's got some nice follow-ups here.
Oh, for sure. Oh man, auspicious arrival on the Sanguine Savior too, so
Yep.
a little bit of extra life gain. Not like he needs it right now. He is
That's
certainly
lethal.
beat down.
That's lethal right there. That's 9 damage coming in with 4 power from the dog, and then 5 from the flyer here. Unless Ben does have 1 toxin analysis, which could prevent this. There it is.
Oh yeah.
We play on.
Toque mortal, lifelink.
Yeah. No sweepers or anything of that sort for Ben Stark, it looks like.
-3, so yep, down to 2.
Se va 2.
Alright, let's see if Ben Stark has anything left up his sleeve here.
Is it Lightning Helix?
That'd be cool. Are you gonna do it or do I get to do it?
You would definitely get to, yeah.
Very cool. Just need to warm up my vocal cords for that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big moment to live up to, though, if it happens, yeah. So cool.
5 mana, here comes
Okay, there's the second one.
another Undercity Eliminator. Okay.
So now Ben is dead to a 2-power creature,
Yeah, just being able to lift up that Market Watch Phantom.
but the case does not interact with that Prophet Blade. If you play a 2/2, it is a 3/2, so it does not give it flying. That's a little bit of a disadvantage here, but if you were to be able to flip down a Dog Walker, then flip it up,
Yeah.
then the dogs would trigger the Phantom here, so Derek's not slamming anything here, so wow, we might still have a game.
We need a 1-drop, is what I'm telling you.
Yes.
Power. Hey Kitty, you got any friends?
Otro White Virgen, tío.
Just
Desastre.
Ay, que está muy choto estándar, güey.
Todo el mundo jugando White Control,
Sí,
tío, es
güey.
asqueroso.
Asqueroso.
Is Ben clawing back into this?
might be. Wow, got 6 power on the board. He's doing a good job
Se
blocking
me quita ganas de jugar, tío.
Te juro que también.
Me voy a comer todo el rato partidas de 30 minutos de mi rival sin hacer nada. Todo el rato esperando que juegue yo algo para matarlo. Paso.
Aguantando a 2 vidas, Ben Stark. Yo ya me hubiera rendido hace rato.
So here is a lethal attack coming in.
Oh, murder! Most foul.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was very dramatic. Thank you.
Okay.
Corey, I heard murder was bad.
Not, not so bad in this scenario. Yeah.
When it works, it's pretty good. It's still good.
So this was not the best exchange for
Y deja un 2-2, ¿no?
Not at all.
2 creatures turned into 1 3/2. Ben had to have the murder to make sure it wasn't just lethal there, but Ben wasn't going to attack with that creature if, he didn't have it. So.
Tradea.
Able to keep a crit on the board, auspicious
Más 2, más 2.
to save the critter. So only the Undercity Eliminator dies in this instance.
Okay.
What you got, Ben? Okay.
Love this card
Ace
as
of
well.
the Burning Masks. Deals
Roba.
damage, gonna kill that detective, get that off the board. Man, this game has got interesting.
Yeah. But Ben clearly doesn't have too much going on here, so any creature is
Tierra.
going to be very scary from Derek, but might not.
¡Qué desesperación, boludo!
This is so difficult to flip when you're on the back foot.
En 2 viditas, roba el Lightning Helix y gana.
Lightning Helix here for the just straight GG, and if Ben is not pressuring, eventually Derek will find
Yeah.
this. Okay, there's a little bit of pressure, not a lot.
Estaba buscando el Lightning Helix. Con el Lightning Helix gana.
Yes, that
Is
is
this also a foil?
that is the best Market Watch Phantom I have ever seen. There you go.
Derek was really just getting all these shiny ones for his personal collection.
Bueno, eso vuela.
Oh, goodness me. So the current novelist is doing its best.
Yeah, Yeah, not the best here for sure, but
It's just real small at this point.
Yeah.
Now we have a disguised creature, so it's looking okay there for Ben right now.
yeah, not
Derek
a card
Davis
I love.
needs a 1-power creature.
Yep.
This case is really kicking its butt a little bit.
Otra tierra
He
más.
really hasn't had any creature though, to be fair. But yeah, a lot of outs to just win the game right now from Derek and force this into a game 3.
Because we haven't seen the shock or the lightning
Nope.
yet.
Nope.
No.
Yep.
Pyrotechnic former got knocked out way
Yeah.
early, so
Y acá, ¿qué le juega?
no cornered crooks in the deck. Vengeful tracker and hope Ben sacrificing something.
There it is. There is the 1-power creature.
Hey, novice inspector.
Ahí está.
He's gonna join the fray here in the air for 2. Does Ben have an answer?
Vuela.
Flop?
Nope.
Nope.
Pega por
Didn't
arriba.
even get the clue from novice inspector there at the end. That could have really backfired if Ben did have a removal spell there.
Oh boy. All right, well, tied up the game.
Poco coñazo lo del limitado, la verdad.
All right, big game here. Being able to go into that last round, even if you end up being 2-1. 2-1 at your first draft of the Pro Tour, you feel pretty good. 3-0, of course, you feel on top of the world. So I'm told, of course. You know, I don't know if that's actually happened to me, but so this is a really big game for these players.
Está entretenido.
Almost the best 1-drop. I thought we had novice inspector to start this off.
Just a leg of whatever a crowbot is. I imagine it's some form of
El gorito es agresivo. Mirá, juega ese artefacto.
I really like that card. The flavor behind it
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah, and if you can just, you know, sacrifice an artifact and then pay the 2, you know, even if you don't sacrifice itself to gain life, like there's plenty of ways to just get rid of an artifact where that card can synergize quite well.
Ahí robó la tierra.
The dogs, the dog walkers create and stuff like that.
Puzzle not out there.
Puzzle Knot, yep. Vengeful Tracker, and yeah, these early stages of the game are so important in Murders of Karlov Manor, as you just really need to be on the battlefield in the first 3 turns pretty consistently to kind of start the game. You know, if your opponent goes 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and you don't play anything till turn 4, you don't even really get to play the game. But if you guys each go back and forth and get a couple plays in, then it's just...
Ahí está. Un shock a eso. ¡Pah!
Yes, yes, absolutely. Disguised creature, see if that is, you know, one of the better disguised creature. I would say Dog Walker is probably the ideal one you want to start with.
It's a great start here for Derek.
Ahí está el shock.
This is pretty much what you want to see.
Ah, no, mira. Bueno,
Parecido.
parecido.
As the first play would be pretty darn good.
Yep.
Slice from the shadows, getting rid of the cat again.
Yep, no dogs, only cats this
¿Qué
time.
era?
Okay, all right. Well,
Este.
maybe sandbagging it for the big swing when he needs it. But
Un familiar.
Derek's pretty happy about that, you know, like, and I think Ben will be a little disappointed because the cat is not great here, especially with Derek missing some land drops. But the dog
Otro
walker
shock.
would be excellent.
Removal. Boom. Tradeo.
see soon if disguise number 1 is in fact a dog walker.
This looks like it was brought in here from Ben. Just needed a 3/6 body to be able to get it in.
¿Qué le jugó?
Not really
4
gonna use
maná.
the ability of sacrificing it to draw any
La
cards or
masacre.
anything like that,
No,
but
no es
just a
masacre.
3/6 blocker against Derek Davis's much more aggressive deck, and I would say just overall better deck than Ben Stark here.
Yeah.
Ah, 5 maná.
Agency
¿Qué
card
era de
was able
5?
to sacrifice one of the suspected creatures, getting 2 cards off of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
6 mana? Low price of 6 mana. You can just suspect that repeat offender and get rid of it. Probably not the ideal play. This is a big attack, saying a lot, attacking into
Ese,
a
¿no?
3/6 body
Sí.
here.
Okay.
Wow. So that's got to mean shock plus auspicious arrival. That's where my head would be going. Otherwise, I'm just snap blocking.
Terrible tormenta se le largó. Ven allá.
Creature.
Yeah.
Gotta
Aquí
be both
también.
of those.
Estaba nevando antes un poquito.
Uf. Acá ojalá que refresque. Hace mucho calor.
Response to your block. So there's the auspicious arrival. So that'll keep the
Más 2, más 2. Y le da ese.
in
Pum,
for 2.
investiga.
And then is this a follow-up shock?
It's just got to be. Otherwise, that attack is just so medium.
Yeah, there you go. A little less medium now. More rare.
Yes, yes. At least uncommon. But I mean, like, look at how
Gastó
good
un montón de
3/6
recursos para
was.
matar ese
It
bichito.
took 2 pieces of cardboard from Derek to be able to take it down. Now, of course, you get the clue back, but that was excellent.
That's all right. Puzzle knot getting sacrificed. There goes the tracker. So no
No roba, no roba.
extra reach from any Ben Stark clue sacrifices happening.
Yep.
Están 3 tierras. Se está quedando atrás el Boros. Ahí consiguió la tierrita. Fundamental, ¿eh?
Tirada.
See if that is one of the 2 dog walkers. So put on the job in the yard. If that is a dog walker, you can easily just flip it up and
Otro de skis. El 2.
I feel like Derek Davis is building to a grand finish here. Hopefully this time taking into account that there is that fun of one of toxin analysis.
Los perritos deben ser. Tuk tuk, ataca.
That's tricky, that's for sure. And all right, already down to 7 here. Derek has to be careful. You know, one of the cards Derek hasn't seen yet, and it's, you know, one of the most iconic cards of all time. Lightning Helix would be so good at putting this game kind of on a switch here.
Flip the narrative on its head here.
Yep. But if not, you know, Derek is really far behind, and these Boros tech, as good as they are, and I totally agree, the best archetype in Murders at Karlov Manor, it still doesn't play from behind that well.
No,
you know?
don't want to be on the back foot.
No.
El Toptero puede ser.
Go 1, 2, 3 and just keep swinging.
Yeah. You want to be walking the dog, not getting walked, you know?
Yeah. It's a great way to put it, Corey.
Thank you, thank you.
So we're going to peep what's in hand there. Or Derek Davis as he's shuffling up those cards. Still
I saw an island, so I'm going to guess that is one of our
that's our Market Watch Phantom.
Or I think Crowd Control Warden. You know, there was 3 islands in there as he had 3 very shiny foils.
That's great. Big things here for Derek Davis.
Yeah, this is the turn of the game. This is the turning point. You know, this is something where if Ben has a great follow-up and Derek makes a little bit too aggressive of a play, something like that, then the game's just over. So,
Ataca, que son los perritos, ¿no?
And speaking of an aggressive play, here we go, just both creatures coming in.
I like it. Turn things sideways, think later, shoot first.
Wow. It's got to be very tempting for Ben to just take this and try to line up a way to attack back for lethal. I don't think Ben has any cards in hand, though.
No los da vuelta.
7-all.
And in this situation, you got to think, yeah, this Boros deck is favored, but look at Ben's dark side of things. He has ways to increase the power on his
Le
board.
pone contador y lo hace sospechoso. Pum.
But now we have a very suspicious repeat offender. So it's 6 power. That, you know, that's almost lethal, but this Crowbot Haunch does gain life and does leave critters behind for Derek Davis.
Yep, true. And yeah, they are
Son los perritos. Los perritos entran girados.
Just a little bit of a chump blocker, gain 3, or Lightning Helix and sack a clue. Those would be the 2 things that I would be thinking if I'm playing against Derek right now, knowing the list.
I like to think of the untapped dogs as the ones that aren't getting belly scratches.
Okay, okay.
They want their dinner. Give.
Fair.
Here comes a very suspicious repeat offender.
Wow, that's a very defensive attack here for Ben. Recognizing the on-board trick of putting 2 dogs into play, chumping one of the 3/3s, gaining 3, you know, maybe taking a total of 1 is just too bad. So I would assume if Ben even has any cards in hand, that they're not good. And I don't think he does. And played that mountain just because if he top decks another land, at least you could activate repeat offender 3 times.
Ooh, okay, this is gonna get hairy now as Pyrotechnic Reformer hits the board and hits Ben Stark in the face for 3. We saw a Sanguine Savior underneath Disguise number 2.
Yep.
And we're gonna equip that and then flip it, and that's lethal.
Yeah, because that's 4 power right there.
Wow.
Wow, and that creature gains life too.
Yeah.
Another scenario. That's a
Wow,
really,
that
really
was
cool.
sick, man. We were thinking about the dogs, and he's just like, no, I'm gonna hit you with a big old meat stick, basically.
Se lo dio vuelta,
That was very, very cool.
Yeah,
Derek Davis, GG.
impressive stuff.
Increíble.
From Derek Davis, you know, and we
Che,
saw
bueno.
Derek
Vuelvo en un toque. Me voy a ir al súper y vuelvo en un rato, Dieguito.
last season,
Vale, Benchito.
and,
Dale.
you know, really
Abrazo.